Hey everybody, Ed here with the Digital Digest, and today I wanted to share a quick unboxing and first look at the Logitech Harmony Ultimate Universal Remote Control. Originally priced at $399.99, this universal remote can control up to 15 different devices. You can see some of the marketing right there in terms of what comes in the box. We have the control itself, which does come with a rechargeable battery, the Harmony Hub, which is an additional accessory unless you're actually buying the Ultimate package we're looking at here, the two IR mini blasters, another thing you only get with this package, the charging station for the remote itself, a USB cable for updating, and the actual initial first sync, since this remote does have Wi-Fi and Bluetooth, by the way, some of the niceties of this refresh from 2013, two AC adapters, and of course some paperwork. Beyond that, you can see the profile of the remote and the hub. The hub is very similar looking to the previous generation that came with something like the Harmony 900, a remote that I've been using happily for quite some time now, and this will at least attempt to replace. And in doing so, there are definitely some major changes with this newer generation. And Logitech does not, or I should say Harmony does not, update these remotes that frequently because, quite frankly, most of them work very well. And in an instance where a company is fortunate enough to get a product right, they don't tend to update it unless the competition drives them to. And despite whatever criticisms you may have or dislikes for this product or any of the Harmony branded remotes, they still are a great value when you consider the alternatives or lack thereof, especially when custom installers will come to your house and offer you things that will be infinitely more expensive and not that much more capable, and in some instances, maybe even less capable. So with that aside, you can see part of the Harmony Hub functionality is giving you the Harmony app so that you can basically do everything the remote can using your iOS or Android device. Keep in mind that that is really a secondary feature, and it's not going to perform the way the remote will itself. Because you've got this RF blaster, or the RF hub, I should say, the Harmony Hub, it's going to allow you, in the same way the Harmony 900 came with its own RF blaster set, to control devices that don't have line of sight. So traditional remotes, in fact, the touch version, the less expensive version of this remote, does not come with the Harmony Hub. And that is a key difference for those of you who require, again, hidden components. If all of your gear is inside of some sort of piece of furniture or even on another floor, this is going to give you that ability to control everything without any of the equipment being literally in sight. So that aside, again, 15 devices you can control, and it does come with its own charging station. I also want to point out it has gesture controls, because on that touch screen you can customize a bevy of things. One of the first things that worried me about this was that it is missing some physical buttons that I'm accustomed to using on the Harmony 900, such as general DVR controls, even the number pad. This was something that worried me about the entire touch line that Logitech launched. But you can see the features here. Again, I've covered most of them, but 15 devices, the swipe and tap touchscreen, one-touch activity-based control, display up to 50 favorite channel icons. This is something that began with the 1 series and has now developed into, well, utilizing and taking advantage to where smartphone and tablet technology, our whole mobile OS world, has gone. On remote customization, that's where you can arguably replace a lot of the buttons that I was just mentioning are missing from this remote. And then you've got a rechargeable, of course, battery and a charging station to complement that. Easy online setup, which is Wi-Fi updatable, as I mentioned before. Compatible with over 225,000 devices. That's something where, no lie, Logitech is the best in the business when it comes to getting every device that you could possibly want programmed on these remotes, on their brand of Harmony remotes. Control devices behind cabinets or walls with the Harmony Hub. I just mentioned that earlier. And you can buy that on its own. Keep that in mind. There is a much less expensive version of this remote if you don't care about any of the Bluetooth, Wi-Fi niceties. Save the money. $100, $130 buys you that entry-level Harmony Touch right now. Or excuse me, not Touch, the Harmony base model. Compatible, of course, with IR and Bluetooth game consoles. And then that Harmony app allows smartphones and tablets to become universal remote controls, which is something that I actually showed off back when Logitech launched their Harmony app alongside the popularity of Android when I was covering Arcos tablets at the beginning of the channel, for those of you who've been with me that long. And it's kind of funny because I did a video about how you could use your tablet as a universal remote control, and not too much longer after that video was relatively popular, Logitech killed that feature and basically created a product out of it. I'm not saying that they owe me any credit, but just wanted to point that out. So an interesting fact, and you can go ahead and check back for those of you that aren't familiar. So either way, Logitech clearly trying to capitalize on the fact that they realized, I guess they missed the fact they could capitalize on something like that. But here we have it finally, 6 minutes in. Very nice, I have to say, in terms of packaging. It's not something I comment on frequently, but when something actually looks nice coming out of the box, especially a remote, it's impressive. And it should be at $400 retail. So first, let's start off with the remote. You can see you've got that large capacitive touchscreen. I don't expect the sort of performance we are accustomed to with smart devices, phones, tablets, because this is a remote. Let's try to remember that at its base. In terms of buttons, you can see a lot of the traditional buttons that we've come to expect. In fact, I'll put it right up next to the 900. And you can see what it's missing already. The color coordinated cable button, function buttons that you have. You do have traditional play and control features for DVR playback, but the incremental playback isn't as advanced. You can see that right here. So that's something noteworthy, and the fact that you are losing that numeric keypad for some is irrelevant. It will be on screen for those of you that are curious. Of course, it's a much smaller remote, so you could argue ergonomically speaking it's more comfortable to use, but that's really a matter of personal preference. I'll have to see as I spend time with this brand new Ultimate. But overall, definitely like the look and feel of it, and I'm not against having a smaller remote. Keep in mind, this is almost identical to the design of, again, the Touch. So it's just really about adding that RF hub that we'll be looking at in a moment, as well as the additional IR blasters. And there's a little bit of a difference in the back end design, in the same way that the 900 had a little bit of a difference from the actual Harmony 1, but very little. So nice looking remote, not a lot of buttons, but that's because you have that expanded touchscreen that is really going to afford you a lot more functionality. And by the way, I didn't point out, we've got the USB port right here, and you will need to use that for that first pairing, I'm assuming, like all Harmony remotes, even though this does now have Wi-Fi and Bluetooth on board, which is definitely an intriguing element to this device. We've got the charging dock right here. Kind of reminds me of something you'd have a handset on, some sort of cordless phone, but nice. Definitely takes up less space than the original older charging docks that were flat and essentially were going to steal surface area of whatever desk, night table you were, or whatever area you were going to place this in. Now you have something that's far more form friendly, in my opinion, and also looks better. There you have it on the dock right now. And then lastly, we've got the hub before I get to what's underneath, which is going to be a lot of IR blasters, that double pair. And essentially on the hub, you can see right here on the back end, we have connections for both of the IR blasters. Those are the blasters that will control the devices that you've hidden away in your cabinets or on your other level of your home, wherever it may be. And that is, of course, your USB connection right there. Or excuse me, yeah, that's the power connection, I should say. And the pair reset button right there. So that pretty much covers the entire hub. Let's get to all of the cables and paperwork, which I know are really the most exciting part of any unboxing. So first and foremost, paperwork. It's sealed up. That really already just does not excite me. In fact, I'm going to save it for last as a result, and if I forget, I probably won't care. In terms of cables, so we've got the power cable that I was just talking about, or this is the USB cable. I'm not sure which one that is, but it's one or the other. If there's another one, that'll clearly answer the question. Yeah, it looks like this is just the USB transfer cable for the remote. One of your two IR blasters that I just mentioned before. Quite a bit of slack here, and there should be. At this price point, Logitech knows that they're really trying to steal some of that installers, the home AV business, installation biz routine here. And if you're going to buy a $400 remote, they've got to actually give you enough length on the wire to actually support all those devices that you're hiding away. So you've got two blasters to extend the hub's capability. And then you've got two power bricks, one for charging the actual remote itself on its base that I've got right over there in the upper right corner of the frame. And you can see it looks like it's using just a traditional micro USB plug. Yep. Now in focus. In 4K. Or down sample to 1080p, which I have to say on the AX100 I'm shooting this on, everything looks better, even if you're viewing this at 480p or 720p. And then we've got that second power brick, which, as I just mentioned, is going to support the other component, which is the actual hub itself, which is going to allow this device to work through walls, cabinets, whatever it may be. So there you have it. That is the complete unboxing. The only thing left is that paperwork, which Logitech had to seal in order to make me nuts, in order to show all of you what is probably the least important element of this, which is going to be some marketing, as well as, I would imagine, a warranty. They did say instruction guide. Let's see. Here it is. So we've got the setup guide, which will certainly be useful to those of you that are first-time users, because you're going to pair this up and just basically run through their software. You will have to create an account, and then once you've done that, you will just tell Logitech what you've got in your AV setup. So anyone can do this. If you're computer literate, you won't have a problem. And if you're not, you probably have a friend or family member that will be happy to do it. It really is not a complex process. Then you've got basically just an explanation of where your model serial number is. Looks like that's all it is. To explain, to write all of your information for your AV setup to simplify your process once you get to the software setup. Pretty smart. And then lastly, the warranty. And Logitech has always been really good about warranty. So for those of you that have ever been burnt by a company, Logitech isn't going to be that player. For those of you that have had that experience, I'm in no way paid by them or affiliated with them. It's all through personal experience. So that's what I'm speaking from. But that pretty much sums it up. There it is, the Harmony Ultimate, and definitely excited to finally get it. But I know there's going to be a bit of learning curve getting used to coming from the much more button-centric older 900. But all of the additions I mentioned here are very much welcomed, including, I'm hoping for, better battery life and overall build quality, because I've been through a lot of Harmony remotes over the years, and that's why I mentioned that they're relatively good with warranty. So whether it's the 1100, which I really hated, frankly, and I'm not, being anything short of honest with this, because it looked great on paper but just didn't perform well, broke down on me, went through two of them. The 900 ended up being the best. The Harmony 1 was where it all began in terms of, in my opinion, their dominance, and hopefully this is just a great example of the maturation of the business. So looking forward to giving you all more updates on this, especially if it is of interest. Granted, it is a year-old product. But as usual, any questions or comments, please feel free to post them. And of course, as usual, please feel free to subscribe. Later.